Roadmap. In this video, I'm going to talk about EIGRP route filtering. Now, you know that in the previous video, we have learned about the EIGRP route filtering with the IP prefix list and also with the ACL. Here, we should first learn the roadmap, and after that, the concept of roadmap or the, for example, function of the roadmap in the EIGRP route filtering. You know that roadmap is a tool that we are using this tool in many cases and in many features of the different routing protocols such as the BGP or some other routing protocols. Okay, but one of the functions of the roadmap is related to the EIGRP route filtering. You know that for EIGRP filtering, we have learned about the ACL, okay, and how we can apply the ACL to the EIGRP routes in outbound or in inbound direction. Also, we have learned first about the IP prefix list itself, and then how we can use it, the IP prefix list in the EIGRP route filtering. Now we are starting to talk about the roadmap. Okay, maybe you ask me what is the benefits of the roadmap to the IP prefix list, to the ACL. Let me to say that about the EIGRP route filtering, roadmap, okay, doesn't have any benefit. Actually, the IP prefix list maybe is easier, and for example, it's one of the more flexible method that you can use it. But the roadmap has another functionality that you will learn about them in the future videos and future concepts. Let me start to talk about the roadmap. Look at here. You know that in the roadmap, okay, we are trying to, for example, use it for filtering. But let me to say that roadmap actually is not only for the, for example, filtering. First, let me to say that with the IP prefix list or with the access control list, only we have two actions, okay, permit and also the deny, okay, and also in the IP prefix list. You know that the difference between the ACL and IP prefix list related to the conditions. Let me to say that in the roadmap, okay, you can permit and also you can deny the routes, okay, and also you can change or modify the updates or the, for example, information. Maybe you ask me what is the meaning of modify. This means that you can change some of the attributes of one update. You know that in the, for example, routing network or routing word, when the R1 wants to send traffic to the or update routing update to the router 2, it should use one network and also one mask. And also here we have many features. For example, we have metric parameters, we have non-metric parameters in some routing protocols, we have pass attributes. You will learn about them, don't worry, okay? But the ACL and also IP prefix list, okay, cannot change these values. But with the roadmap, you can also, beside of filtering, beside of permit or deny the update, okay, you can change these values, the metric, the parameter, non-metric parameter, pass attribute, and some other things. Maybe you want to know what is the benefits of changing the attributes. Okay, you will learn about them in this class. Okay, don't worry. Because of that, we can understand that with roadmap, we can do more function than the IP prefix list and also ACL. But about the EIGRP filtering, we need only permit the route, deny the route. Because of that, we can say that other functionalities of the roadmap, okay, cannot help us in the EIGRP filtering. But in the future features of the EIGRP, you will use the benefits of the EIGRP or of the, for example, roadmap. Because of that, in the concept of the EIGRP filtering, the functionality of the roadmap is limited to permitting or denying the routes. But in other features, we will use another functionalities of the roadmap. This is the first thing that you should know, because here we have one important question. What is the benefit of the roadmap? The benefits of the roadmap is for example, capability of roadmap for to do more functions. But these more functions is not obvious in the EIGRP filtering. We are using these functions, these more functions in future, for example, protocols, future courses. Okay, but maybe you ask me, what is the difference about the configuration of the route map and also ACL and IP prefixes? Here also we have one important notation. Let me to explain it. Do you know that I have explained before that ACL, okay, can work as a, for example, filtering tools and also as a classification tool. You know it, okay? And also the filtering can be occur, okay, for the data. Let me to write here, for the data means the user's data, and also the routing update. You have learned about these features. For example, if you apply the ACL to one interface, that ACL filtering the data. If you apply the ACL to the EIGRP to one routing protocol, that ACL filter the routing update. Actually, we can say you should apply the ACL, okay, to the routing protocol, okay. About the classification, again, the ACL can classify data. For example, you know that in the NAT, if you remember NAT or network address translation, we are using the ACL for classifying the traffic of user, and after that for some classic we can then translate the source IP, okay? And also we can classify with the ACL the routing update. Classify the routing update. For example, when you are implementing the route map, actually the ACL is a feature that we are using it for classifying, okay, the routing update. Let me to talk about this part. Maybe this is a little, for example, surprising to you that how we can use the ACL for classifying the data. I think the best method, okay, for understanding this function is practicing one example. Let me to show you. Look at here. Assume that we have R1 and R2. Here we have two routers, R1 and R2. Also, R1 include two networks. For example, 172.16.00/24 and 172.16.10/24, okay? And you are enabling one, for example, protocol here, like the EIGRP. And after that, you know that the R1 should send these two update, okay, these two network to the router 2. Actually, we are using the EIGRP updates for informing the router 2 that we have connectivity to these two networks. Okay, this is the normal behavior of the, for example, one routing protocol. Now, assume that we want to filter, okay, the one of these routes. For example, I want to filter, okay, the 172.16.00/24, and also we want to send only the 172.16.10/24. Actually, we should send, okay, and we should pass this update to the router 2. Okay, this is our goal. I'm going to configure one roadmap for informing you how we can configure the roadmap, and also what is the function of the ACL, okay, in the roadmap. Let me to show you. Here we can configure a roadmap with this command. I will give you more information about the roadmap, but if you want, you can use this generic configuration for better understanding. First, we should configure roadmap, then a name, map name, okay? Roadmap, then for example, A. After that, again, we have one action, permit or deny. But let me to say that the only two action of the roadmap is not the permit and deny, okay? We have more than two action. For example, as you can see here, we have set, and with set conditions, we can modify many things, okay? But let me first use the permit, okay? Or if you want, you can use roadmap a deny, okay? Roadmap a deny, and then again in the roadmap we have sequence number. For example, sequence 10. This is the sequence 10. We have sequence number with the same, for example, concept of the IP prefix, this sequence number, and also ACL sequence number. Then we are entering to the router config roadmap. Now here we need one ACL, okay? Let me to show you the configuration of ACL. Look at here. You know that we want to filter the 172.16.00/24. We can configure access list, okay, one permit, then 172.16.00, okay? After that, here we can configure match IP address, then the ACL number. What does it mean? Look at here. You are configuring the roadmap, and in this roadmap, actually the ACL is the classifier, okay? What does the meaning of classifier? Here you can see, if a route matches with the root's IP address matched with the ACL1, please deny it. This is the action. In the roadmap, you can see the deny. Here, we are using the ACL. This is the ACL number. You know it, okay? This is the ACL number, and each ACL that match with this, each root, each network that match with this ACL, okay, actually match with this line of the roadmap, okay? And this should be denied. Look at here. In roadmap, actually, you have this command. Look at here. Let me expand it. Roadmap A deny 10. Okay, match IP address 1. This one is the number of ACL. Okay, what does it mean? Actually, ACL gathering or classifying the network that we want. This ACL, as you can see, classify only 172.16.0.0.